Hey people on the Tubular Webs, I'm Mr. Spork, and these are Mr. Spork's Hands. It is the week before Thanksgiving up here in Canada. Yes, we do our Thanksgiving before Halloween, unlike the folks south of the border who do it afterwards. Second Monday of October is when we celebrate ours, and that is a great excuse for me to do all sorts of new and old Thanksgiving ideas for you in video this week. I'm going to start with one, however, that I make all year long. It just happens to make sense to do it on the holidays because the new crop of potatoes is coming in. PEI is producing them like crazy, and we've also got some great dill in the garden, which means I'm going to make a batch of my dill and vinegar smashed potatoes. And I say smashed, not creamed, because I like to leave a little bit of texture. I go old school and use a manual masher for this process because it leaves a little bit of texture, and I also leave the peel on the potato, as you can see here. Taking the peel off serves me absolutely no purpose in this recipe because I want that texture. It's going to have a really bold, fat flavor from the cider vinegar that I put in there, and I throw in a little bit of garlic, a little bit of good sea salt and peppercorn. That's all there really is to it. So all you do is take your potatoes and slice them. As you can see, this is a hot pan here, so I'm going to try not to reach in and burn myself, but I've sliced them about, I don't know, that's a 1/4 inch thick or so. That lets me cook them in about 8 to 12 minutes, anywhere in that range, depending on how you like them. I leave mine with just a little bit of texture. As soon as these get done boiling, I'm going to pull back, clear the decks, and I'll show you how to mash them up. Okay, we're back after these potatoes have finished boiling. It was about 11 minutes total, and what I've got to do is fish out these 2 garlic cloves. Basically, I threw these in the last minute of boiling, just so they blanch a little bit, makes them a little bit easier to crush and get into the mix. That's exactly what I'm going to do here first. I'm going to crush these down. You don't want to bite into a big fat piece of garlic. You want the garlic through the whole thing. So do that right there. Going to get some dill in this. This is probably 800 grams, just short of a kilo's worth of potatoes that I did here, and that's, what, 2 tablespoons of fresh dill? But to be honest with you, I've made this with 4 or 5 or 6 tablespoons of dill, depending on how good the garden's going. It's delicious and lovely. Now, you do want to get some more moisture in here. I'm going to use a little bit of butter. This is probably 2 or 3 tablespoons of butter, and a little bit of half cream, 18% cream. You may want to leave out the dairy, and if you do, that's fine, but you can do 2 different things. You can just save a little bit of the boiling water the starchy boiling water that you boiled the potatoes in, or you can add in some oil of your choice, a little bit of canola oil, olive oil, whatever. You just want a little bit of fat content there to help round out the flavor. I'm going to give it a nice little dose. That's probably a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. And here's my sel gris, my French gray salt, which I love. It comes a little bit chunky where I get it from. So basically what I do is I take a little pile and I crush it down so it's a little bit finer. And let's say, what is that, that's a healthy teaspoon in there. That'll get me going. And now we want to put in the vinegar, the cider vinegar. I'm going to go with 1, 2, 3, let's call that 4 teaspoons and a little more. Depends on how you like it, and again, how vinegary and dilly you want your dill vinegar potatoes to be. But those are all those flavors in there. And again, I do go old school manual. I don't want these to be incredibly creamy. I love a good creamy, buttery mashed potato, but that's not this recipe. These are rough and tumble, mashed, crushed, whatever you want to call them. And all of these flavor combinations are again to your taste. You can make them more peppery, more salty. You could try a different herb in there, but I think just like on potato chips, potato crisps, dill and vinegar is a pretty darn good mix. So that is it. It's that simple. Do serve them hot while they are lovely and tasty. I'm going to try this to make sure I got the salt right. Oh man, I can eat this whole pot just like it is. If you want this recipe, as I empty my mouth full of potato, go up to my website, click on that link there, and you will get the full details with more exact measurements if you need them. And as always, I thank you for liking and thumbs upping and tweety book face gramming and all that other crazy social media stuff. But do please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because that's what lets me keep doing this for you, as well as watching the ad that runs after this. Until next time, stay tuned for those new Thanksgiving ideas coming this week. I am Mr. Spork. These are Mr. Spork's Hands, and now I'm going to go eat this whole pan while it's still hot. Cheers.